Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yes, my wife, you cannot imagine how hard it is as a comedian to be married to my wife. Because it's very hard, I'll say borderline impossible, to complain about anything at the end of the day. I had a really tough day. Oh, you had a tough day coming up with jokes? Why don't you shut the fuck up? So, I'm much more proud of her than I am of myself for the reasons that you've just heard, for accurate reasons. I'm really thrilled to be with you. Through marrying my wife, I've become more exposed to the veteran community than your average civilian, which in itself is a problem which needs to be addressed. But I went to Afghanistan 2 years ago with, don't worry, just with the USO. This muscle mass was of no use over there. I went with my wife 2 years ago on a USO tour, and it really brought home to me. It was interesting seeing the kind of places that she slept in when she was in Iraq. It was interesting seeing the kind of food that she ate when she was in Iraq. But it was also interesting seeing her be more comfortable than I've ever seen her. And that's not just because I'm British and I tend not to put people at ease. But also, I've never seen her more at ease than she was in a war zone, because she was with fellow army members. She feels generally much more comfortable around you people, I'll say that. And I've never seen her happier and calmer, and I was worried about how she would be over there, and it turned out that leaving was much harder again for her. And what I saw in Afghanistan will stay with me for the rest of my life. For starts, it brought home how close-knit a group the military is. I don't know if I've ever seen a group that loves each other so much, but that talks such shit about each other as well. I have never heard the high-level shit-talking I'm a comedian, and I have not heard the level of shit-talking regarding the Air Force is a work of art. It's a work of art. I've heard zingers, but I heard unbelievable shit talked about the Air Force, and I thought it was ridiculous until I visited an Air Force base over there, which is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. There's a man holding up his Air Force bag there. Nice bag. I'm guessing nicer than bags in the other two branches. Build the golf course first, build everything else around it. And what I was most impressed of with the Air Force as well was that you've managed somehow over generations to beat down the other two branches. So when I would say, they have ice cream over there, they would just say, yeah, it's what they do, yeah. You've managed to beat down the most powerful military in the world as one branch with essentially golf courses in the sand and Burger King. So congratulations. Nice Burger King, by the way. Nice BK. So it is. It was the most fun gigs I've ever done, because military audiences tend to be incredibly receptive, and I had the greatest heckle I've ever had in my life there. I've never done a gig for the USO before, and so I was in Afghanistan. The first was about 400 people in the tent, and I will say I had not expected people to be quite so heavily armed. That's on me. Again, that might be a British exemption, but every single member of the audience had their machine gun on their legs, and there was a guy sitting at the front around where you are that had his finger on the trigger, which I know you're not supposed to do. He rested it on the trigger for the whole time I was talking. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Eventually I said to him, does your finger have to be on the trigger right now? Does it have to be on the trigger? And I swear this is true. He looked up at me and he said, nope. And he left his finger on that trigger, thus winning that argument, I felt. But I guess it was part of that close-knit thing started making me think, because it is very easy as a civilian not to be involved in Veterans Affairs, because you are not prone as a group to complain, which is both your best quality and can be a bit of a barrier in terms of getting any of the plethora of problems that we need fixed regarding veterans being integrated back into the community. I have been in VA hospitals now. I'm aware that lots of people like to say, our veterans deserve the best healthcare, and they'll walk past a nice-looking building from the outside and say, look, we're doing it, good for us. And they never actually have to step inside there and realise what difficult, borderline, dangerous places those can be that should be shaming the country rather than making them feel like they're doing the right thing. I also worry that it is very easy to say thank you. There's nothing America likes more than verbally saying thank you to its veterans. And that's nice, but it is too easy because it seems like you're saying something, and I guess you're saying a few words, but you're not actually doing anything. And I think it can be a real problem. I think there's a real seduction in people having lovely commercials on TV with American flags and introducing veterans at football games whilst not actually following through and doing anything to combat the infrastructure that we need to fix as the basic human demands of what veterans actually deserve. So that is one of the things that has stuck with me most as the spouse of a veteran, that you have a kind of perfect storm of a group of selfless people who don't want charity, they just want a chance to contribute. They don't want to complain, and that people think they're doing enough by saying thank you to them. And I don't want your greatest character traits to be your greatest weakness in affecting change in some of these issues. That said, thank you. Putting that aside. Yeah, I can't thank you enough for having me here. I'll keep it short because you have to get out of a library by 8 o'clock. Listen, I know that many of you have been in combat situations. Don't fuck with librarians at 7:58. Thank you so much for having me, and I will, as much as I can in my non-muscle massed comedic way, I will try and be an advocate for you guys as much as I can in the future. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.